Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how are you today? Now, we meet again in the course of English syllabus and instructional materials of development. My name is Nuril Habibatus and my friends Piranti, Astri, Our topic today is refreshing a writing course, the role of evaluation.
I'm Piranti Astri would like to explain about refreshing a writing course, the role of evaluation. For the part A, we start about the background of the course. The course which we shall call WRIT exists to meet the writing needs of a body of students that shares only one common characteristic. All are non-native speakers of English. A second near-universal characteristic is that almost all our students enroll at university, but occasionally employees from the public service or private business enroll as a means of improving their written English skills. Some were required to take the course, others choose it voluntarily, and a few admitted to taking the course as an easy option. This group of students also contributes a number of major students to the course. This is one of the diverse student body with different needs. Perhaps, however, by enrolling in the course, all or indirectly expressing a desire to be a successful member of an academic writing community. That's the background of our discussion today. And for part B is the case for change. WRIT has been offered as a 100 level or first year course since the early 1990s centuries. And while there have been changes from time to time, often coinciding with a change in academic staff member coordinating the course. Concern about the course produced by observation fell into three main areas. The first one is meeting student needs. While the course was presented as an academic writing course for non-native English-speaking students, there were clear differences among the students in their needs as indicated above. And the second is course structure. The course was structured so that there was an 1-hour lecture each week for 12 weeks and 3 hours a week of workshop for 11 weeks. No matter what the intention of the theoretical justification, then the lectures were not an effective form of instruction. For the third one is managing cognitive demand. The course required students to produce 2 essays on quasi-academic topics, such as renewable energy or sustainable tourism, based on a book of pre-selected readings. For part C is a response. As a result of this concert, the university accepted a proposal to do the following. The first is redesign the 100 level course as a course for writing in English as a second language. This will remove the academic tag and allow a more effective response to the language provision development needs of some students, and will reduce the cognitive load so that writing ability was more clearly the focus. And the second response is introduce a new 200 level or second year academic writing in English as a second language course, which will both provide a pathway for students wishing to develop their writing skill further, as well as an opportunity for students to work in discipline-specific genre. For part D is the teaching learning environment. Each of the outer circles consists of 3 segments or components, which for the environment are the learners, the teachers, and the situation in which the teaching learning takes place. As mentioned above, the learners from a diverse body with correspondingly diverse needs. The teaching staff is also somewhat heterogeneous, but shares the characteristic of being native speakers, while the preference is for experienced teacher of English as a second or foreign language. Graduated students with little or no language teaching experience are also occasionally employed. For need analysis, this indeed can be classed as a necessity for all students. It is likely that students want to write like native speaker, but the environmental constraints of a 12-week course mean that it is unlikely to be achieved. Thus, it remains a want rather than a necessity in terms of lack. While most students have met the university's formal language proficiency requirement, it is clear from their writing that a number of students do not have sufficient language skill for success in a university context. For application of principles, the application of principles is important to a course design because it ensures that what happened in the classroom captured by the inner circle of the design model is informed by research about best practice. Three important principles. The first one is time on task. In other words, as we learn to write by writing, there need to be many opportunities for writing to occur. And the second is comprehensible input. The material that learners were being asked to read as a basis for responding in some way in writing should not overburden them with cognitive demand. This principle related to the concerns about language proficiency identified earlier. And the third is feedback. There should be repeated opportunities for learners to receive helpful feedback on their writing. The time on task principle is related to another, the fluency principle, or the idea that a language course should provide activities aimed at increasing the fluency with which the learners can use the language they already know, both receptively and productively. A further principle underlying the course related to motivation as much as possible, and especially perhaps for the students who were being required to take the course or were taking it because they saw it as an easy option. The learners should be interested and excited about learning about writing, and they should come to value this learning.
Well, the next is about the goal of the new course. The goal of the new course emerged principally from the need analysis but was also affected by environmental consideration. The goal needed to be expressed in developmental terms rather than as a target. Thus, the course was described as being designed to improve the writing of students for whom English is a second or other language. And then how about the content and sequencing? One way of viewing the content is to describe it in terms of the input or the text that learner will require to read and respond to. Means that the texts were mainly literary in origin and were chosen as likely to be accessible and the interest to the learners. The comprehensible input principle was to 4 years, but the choice of text, particularly for the first main writing task, are also related to the motivation principle. The next is about format and presentation. For the first is, there was an emphasis on an analytical response to the text read from within a comparison and contrast rubric. The second is the way in which the This validity issue was addressed to ensure that discrete subskills with obvious academic relevance received attention. The next is about monitoring and assessment. Here, the course was redesigned with 6 formal assessment points. 2 of these were of the written product, after learners were taken through the 3 or 4-week rating process, and to assess response to tutor feedback and those products. For example, error correction. In here, error correction was part of the feedback that given by the tutors. The last is about evaluation. This ensures that there are opportunities to evaluate whether the course is successful and to identify areas for improvement. It also ensures the course responds to change in teaching learning context. There are 2 kinds of evaluation. The first is time on task, second is feedback, and then the third is awareness. The first is time on task. The intention was to provide students with many opportunities to write, both in the class and out, in the belief that we learn to write by writing. Not all reading and writing were related to assessment points in the course. The second is feedback. While the students were encouraged to rate openly and critically in their reflection at the end of the course, it was only the practice of peer feedback that elicited a degree of criticism. The last is awareness. As the example above, the course had some success in helping learners become more aware of their own strengths and weaknesses as a writer. For some students, the evidence for this lay in their ability to transfer new learning about writing to other courses. So, the conclusion is to explore the process by which evaluation of curriculum, in this case, the second language writing curriculum, contributes the development of the course, allowing the course to remain dynamic. It is this process and is of the interest, not curriculum itself, for every curriculum will differ. Well, that's all of our presentation. Thanks for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.